시작. 자, 나 잠깐 소음 빌게. 줬어. 늦네. 오케이. 이렇게 볼게. 고마워.
All right, welcome back to the stream. To anyone watching the replay, like the stream, comment your thoughts, subscribe maybe if you like this stuff. So we're gonna start with actually Vitaly first, then we're gonna move on. I'm not gonna do this because I don't really care. So
all right, so let's get to this blog. So obviously the president of the Philippines, Bongbong Marcos, let's call him President Marcos, he had a vlog the other day on his channel, which has 2.7 million viewers. And this was on road rage as one topic, and then on the streamers, right? But the streaming was a prominent part of it. So this was obviously in the local language in Tagalog. So I have a translation. Now we're going to talk about all this and analyze it. But I want to read the translation first so you guys can see this. And thank you to my lovely translators. I had more than one, but they pretty much confirmed this version of the translation. So thank you to my translators, right? So the president says, this guy's crazy. He's not Filipino anyway. Can I curse at him? I love that part.
can I curse at him?
The president goes on to say, one other thing we've seen this week is the infuriating things that a foreign vlogger has done to our countrymen. The president goes on to say, regardless of whether it's a prank or not, is there a Filipino whose blood will not boil upon what we have seen? So you've got to think about that.
I think even non-Filipinos would probably have blood boil because it was kind of infuriating to watch.
You've got to think about that. The president during Holy Week is saying you are justified to have your blood boiling. It reminds me once again of Jesus in the temple with the moneylenders, right? That's kind of towards the end there. But overturning the tables, clearing out the temple. There is a time for righteous indignation. And what I'm hearing during Holy Week here is this is a time for righteous indignation. This is a time to understand there are certain things you are allowed to get mad at. And as a Filipino, and frankly, to be honest, even as a non-Filipino, I think it should enrage you to see people targeted and harassed like this. Period. And it doesn't matter whether I think it doesn't matter whether you're Filipino or not. We're all human beings, and we all deserve to be treated with a matter of respect. As long as we're respectful, we should be respectful back of people's cultures, laws, and just their person. And nobody deserves to have a stranger, particularly no elderly woman, deserves to have a stranger from a foreign country who looks like he's roided out or got something missing upstairs come up and yell that he's going to effing rob you. Nobody deserves that anywhere in the world, in any culture or any language. It's not acceptable. There's no place that's okay. Right? That's not a cultural thing. That's just not okay, period. So let's continue with the translation. He goes on to say, this is saddening. This is once again the president of the Philippines, Bongbong Marcos. As this has become part of social media, there are vloggers out there dedicated only to causing trouble, taunting people, becoming nuisances, and disrespecting others to gain views. Check this out. RKI screenshot at 3:05. No joke, guys. The president of the Philippines on his personal blog pulls up our boy, the one and only RKI. I've been telling you guys that these things are linked. I've been telling you guys that they've been.
I mean, of course it's linked because if it wasn't for him, I don't think a lot of other things would happen. Also, that's kind of funny right there.
They know about this. This is a confirmation that at the highest level in the Philippines, they are linking Johnny Somali and Vitaly and nuisance streamers in general.
I think they should.
And let's go further here, guys. It's not just Johnny Somali. It is. Let's go further. It's the Japanese streamers as well. It's the Japanese streamers as well.
Of course.
So all those people that are going there as essentially terrorist streamers are ruining Japan. So they understand this is not limited. And look at this. Kick streamers denied access to ferry due to troublesome activities in the past. They're talking about Ice Poseidon. They're talking about the crew. The president of the Philippines has linked the nuisance streamers that were in Japan recently to Vitaly and Johnny Somali. I know a lot of people try to say this is me, and I'm like, I'm the only guy making this up. It's the president of the Philippines here, right? It's just you, legal mindset. No, it's a clear.
Yeah, it's just you. I think when the president of the Philippines is saying it, that it's not just you anymore. It's a clear. There's a pattern there at that point.
Nexus with these folks. They come to these countries, like the president says, they taunt people and cause trouble to gain viewers. That's the definition of what is a nuisance stream.
I mean, if it will, yeah. I mean, I would say it started with Logan Paul as well. But if it wasn't for what they wouldn't be really that known if it wasn't for what they were causing problems over in Asia.
Streamer causing trouble, taunting people, and disrespecting others to gain views. And they usually end up breaking laws. That's usually something that goes hand in hand with that, which means it needs a legal response.
Yes.
So they show Ramsey, Khalid Ismail, Johnny Somali, as well as other nuisance streamers. They bring up the crew, the IP crew that was in Japan, and lump them in there with Vitaly. So they said right here, we should not subscribe to that behavior. And I like the word subscribe because the word subscribe is so true. The word subscribe both means subscribe on YouTube, right? We should not be subscribing to them. I completely agree with that. But beyond that, subscribe meaning follow, right? In more behavioral sense, right? And he says very clearly here, Filipinos do not behave like that and should not behave like that. And I think people should not behave like that. Trust that we, the Philippine government, the use of here, we as exclusive, that we will not let them, the nuisance streamers and vloggers, continue to do what they do. By the way, there was a quote from the Ramula press con that says, the days when a foreigner can disrespect Filipinos are over. This shall serve as an example that we take our country seriously. So you're seeing that this is kind of mirrored here. The language from Ramula is kind of mirrored by Marcos. Filipinos are inherently kind, respectful, humble, and incredibly patient. And by the way, I agree with all of that. That is incredibly true, which is exactly why it is very saddening to see these traits being abused and taken advantage of. It is natural for us to laugh it off. And I laugh a lot of things off too. I totally understand that. And not make a big deal of it, of this kind of disrespect. But this doesn't mean the government should let it slide. Yes. Even if you personally may say, well, if it happened to me, I wouldn't be that mad, but there's a problem. The government has to look out not just for one person that might
The government has to look out for the entire country, let alone a single person.
think, well, okay, this one thing isn't that bad. Look at this market of nuisance streamers that are going to come to the country, do criminal things, harass people for money and profit, and say, we got to stop that. So that's why it gets to some of the best language here. And this line is the best. I love this one the most. We should fight back against the bullies. The
I agree with that, Sam, actually, because that's what they are. They are bullies.
government stands with you in putting these people in their proper place. Great. Absolutely 100% great. I mean, that's where it needs to be, right? They need to be put in their place. I love that language. The last time I heard "put in their place," it was a statement. I was like, "Oh, hold on now." But this is one case where I'm saying "put in their place" because they think they're above you. Remember, Johnny Somali and Vitaly both think they are above the countries they are in. Vitaly thinks that the Philippines is a joke. It's insane. And I love this last line. I hope this serves as a lesson to those who attempt to enter the Philippines solely to be menaces to Filipinos and mock them. This is meant to be a lesson that you don't come to the Philippines to mess around. Great message from the president during Holy Week. Not one place did it talk about forgiveness or patience or, that we need to, think about giving them extra special treatment because they're foreigners. That didn't come up even once.
It's what it's supposed to happen. I was a healthy guy.
Nor should it ever.
So let's get to Undersecretary Donnie Puno and what he had to say here. But this is an interview. This was actually really recent. This was only about a day and a half ago or so. And it's in English with Undersecretary Donnie Puno of the DILG in the Philippines.
Yes.
No rest for
Government employees don't get breaks.
And this is your first live interview.
Yes,
I heard.
yes, it is.
And we have so many topics to discuss today, Yusek. Let's start off with that Russian vlogger who made quite the headlines for his content.
Yeah.
I mean, you even have the president commenting, expressing his dismay that should not be tolerated. Give us an update, Yusek. What's the latest on the investigation, the charges on this Russian vlogger?
So briefly, what happened last week, DILG Secretary John Vickremulya called for a press conference to present the Russian vlogger, Vitaly Starovetsky, to the media. And this was based on a blotter that was filed in Taguig.
A blotter is like referring to a police report. So like it was reported to police and police put out a notice on Vitaly in Taguig.
Where Vitaly, based on the report, committed disruptive and inappropriate acts, to quote the report.
Who filed the blotter?
Some victims in Taguig. So I'm
The
sure you've
victims
seen.
themselves.
Yes, I'm sure you've seen the videos. He was caught harassing a Filipina. He tried grabbing the cap of a security guard, as you can see there. And then there were other acts that he committed in Boracay. This guy has been around. He's been doing this since 2012 all over the world. He's been in the States. He's been to Brazil, Egypt, the UK, doing this sort of thing.
And this is a great point. See how they're noticing, like they're saying, look, this guy's been around the world and done this. This is a very important point because they know that he's made a laughing stock of other countries. So if you allow him to do this to the Philippines will join.
It's actually important that this guy, specifically this guy, knows that Vitaly specifically has been doing this for like the last 10 years. Probably because that's actually an important thing to know.
In as this laughing stock, because he's not just mocking, a person, an individual. He's mocking the country. He's mocking the culture. He's mocking everybody there through his actions.
Now, Secretary John Vic has said he violated our laws and he disrespected Filipinos. Filipinos we are friendly people, we are hospitable people, but this guy took advantage of us. And ang malas niya,
I think for most people are hospitable and very willing. Until you do this, then they are stop being willingness and want punishment.
if other countries merely deported him, ang malas niya ngayon, his tough luck is that we have Secretary Remulla saying now that we're not going to let him off easy.
Yeah, you guys, we watched the Remulla video. Remulla had no sympathy for this dude at all whatsoever. There was zero sympathy for this dude, which was very, very much called for in this case, in my opinion.
So he will not be deported. He will stand trial here. He will face the charges here, and hopefully he will be jailed here.
So where is Vitaly right now?
Vitaly is currently detained at the Bureau of Immigration's detention center in Camp Bagong Diwa.
Okay.
And he will await trial there.
And what charges specifically will be filed against?
There are several charges that he's already facing. There are several counts of unjust taxation. There's theft, attempted robbery, even I think is one of the cases.
That's great. That's great. Once again, more charges. As we've seen in the case with Johnny Somali, the more charges, the better. So you get a bunch and you're going to get at least a couple that are going to stick. And you also want to make sure you're getting real jail time. And even what I like the undersecretary mentioned here was that he needs to be jailed here in the Philippines, right? So he's going to stay there. He's going to get trial there, and he's going to be jailed there. That's the combo, is that he's going to have to wait. He's going to have to face that trial, and he's going to have to face justice in the Philippines prison. Perfect combination together.
As it should be. You do a crime in another country, you should probably do the time in that country as well.
That he's facing. In the inquest that was conducted, he admitted to it in the presence of his counsel.
Which is insane. So let me understand. Let's just make this clear. Vitaly confessed to his crimes live in front of his lawyer. He's already confessed. He's in trouble. He's in trouble. I think the legal term for his situation is cooked. That's what the kids use nowadays in the courtroom. They use cooked. They say, "Judge, my client is cooked."
That's funny to hear.
No, I mean that's his defense is not going to look good here. His lawyer.
I don't think there is a defense after this. Like, I'm not a legal person, but I'm pretty sure when you confess to the crime, you're basically, at best, you're gonna maybe have parole. I don't know how it works. If there's some lawyer in the comments or the stream, let me know if there's a way for him, if there's any way that he would be able to even come out of this.
It doesn't have much options.
He admitted to doing those acts. So, like I said, Secretary John Vic wants him to stand trial here, and he'll face the consequences here.
But can he argue that it was all for content? I mean, for social media,
He can argue it all he wants.
And the whole thing is, and I'll leave that there for reasons. The thing is, as she brings up, can he argue it? But he can argue anything he wants, but it's not a winning argument, right? It's not a winning argument. So you can say, "Oh, I'm insane," but that doesn't mean you're going to win your insanity plea.
Shout out Johnny Somali for that one.
So he can say, "Oh, it's just content," or in his case, he was saying, "Oh, it's just a prank." That doesn't get him out.
Yeah, the old classic, "It's just a prank, bro. Why are you mad?" That doesn't really work in a legal system.
Right? But the bottom line is he violated laws.
Mm-hmm.
He committed acts against Filipino citizens.
Mm-hmm.
which is against our laws.
Mhm.
Correct.
So he can argue it all he wants. He can take it to court.
So, Yusek, I mean, what message is the DILG trying to send here to foreigners who come to the Philippines to make content and, I guess, also disrupt the lives of Filipinos?
Don't. That's my personal advice. Is don't even try it. Don't even risk it. Just go to the country, enjoy it.
While they're here.
You know,
Stupid ad.
creating content such as Vitaly's. You know, he can go about doing that all he wants. But, you know, it was in an editorial in Manila Times the other day. And they were saying, while arguments rage about regulating content and such, let's not forget that there are already existing laws that people need to follow. And he tried creating his content at the expense of the Filipinos, making them look like fools. That's what Secretary John Vic didn't like. So we'll await the trial and we'll see what happens.
You know what I found quite interesting also, Yusek, during this particular press conference that we were showing earlier, the demeanor also of Vitaly, right?
Yeah, he was rude the whole time the secretary was talking to the media. He was in the back. He was saying things. He was mumbling aloud.
Yeah.
He was disruptive. His behavior is totally disruptive.
So he wasn't apologetic.
He was not apologetic.
This is once again, this is how Johnny Somali and Vitaly are the same. Both of them are unapologetic,
Both of them disrespect the laws of the country they're stuck in.
completely unapologetic. They do not at all recognize the problems with what they did. And this is the insane part. Them and their followers, right, are doubling and tripling down that not only did they do nothing wrong, but they want to come back and do more of it. And that they're not going to stop. They're going to keep doing this behavior. So the only way to stop this, when they've promised to keep doing it, is to show them that there's consequences for these actions.
At all. You know, good thing for him that the secretary was able to control his temper. Hindi siya pinatulan ni secretary. But really, he was even at the press conference, he was very in the presence of PNP personnel. In the presence of our secretary, he acted that way.
So I guess the question right now, Yusek, is the DILG doing anything, or does the DILG plan to do anything to curb the misuse of these kinds of behavior on social media and potentially harm Filipinos?
You know, we've had several discussions over the past couple of weeks with PCO Secretary J. Ruiz and the DICT Secretary Henry Aguda. And this has to be an effort between the three departments. And I think we're headed in that direction. This is all in line with the president's order to go after fake news. You know, fake news, disinformation, misinformation, all of this content on social media that's wreaking havoc already online. There has to be.
This is where I get like, look, here's the other thing too. And this is where he really screwed up, doing this during an election season. So when you give them the opportunity, so now Vitaly gave a golden opportunity to tie this in with existing political initiatives, he's screwed. And it doesn't matter whether you believe in those or not. Because, for example, I'm not making a overall statement on who you vote for in the Philippines. That's your choice as a Philippines voter. But you messed around at the wrong time of the year. It is silly to do this during a prime election season, right?
To regulate this. PCO Secretary J. Ruiz said that he has met with representatives of the content of the platforms, of the various platforms, to get them to cooperate in terms of just monitoring what kind.
That's actually a good point. It's like you basically you basically gave them the opportunity to get elected again, or whoever's on the side of who helped with the Fidelity thing. You basically confirmed them getting probably a good chance of getting elected again, or whoever is on the side getting elected. So good job, Vitaly, for that one.
Kind of content is out there.
But just to follow up also, Yusek, just to make sure that this is being done lawfully and with due process, he's Russian. What if the Russian government asks to, let Vitaly?
Here we go, guys. He's Russian. So who should be asking? Russia. Okay, so let's make the hypothetical.
Vitaly face the charges instead in their jurisdiction?
He broke our laws.
Okay.
He broke our laws. He broke Philippine laws here in our country. So he has to stand trial here.
All right. Well, I did say we will be discussing a lot of topics today.
And that's how it should go. You break a law, like with the person who had drugs in Russia. They were stuck in jail in Russia because they got caught having stuff they shouldn't have in Russia. You break a law in that country, you do the time, or face the consequences in that country. That's how it should go.
Yes.
So
Okay, so that's the end of that topic. A very good discussion there. That was just once again 24 hours ago, and confirming that they are still on this, that he is not going anywhere, that he is going to be put in his place, and that they are not going to let him slide, which is exactly what you love to hear, because you love to know that these people are not going to get away with what they're doing. They're not going to get away with this behavior in the future, which is the entire point.
Yes, that's good. All right, so on to Johnny Somali, which we're gonna I don't know if this is YouTube friendly. Okay. We're going to watch these instead.
Now let's talk about death threats, shall we? So rumors were flying about Johnny Somali being dead, and that came from this kind of little stream excerpt. We'll play it here about Johnny allegedly wanting to claim he is dead. This is like the new insanity plea. So let's play this.
Faking his death. Yeah, I mean, insanity plea doesn't work. I guess you fake your death is the best thing next. What's next?
You should fake your death, bro. Johnny Somali gets beheaded by Korean mob.
Yeah, I was faking my death to go viral. To Neon did that a couple times.
Yeah, he has a career now, bro.
You can't fake your death with getting beheaded. You'd have to show proof of the head.
So what do? Go to the hospital and like lay in the bed with a. That's a good one. So I think just start making fake content now. Stop doing real. I just went.
No,
you already know my name.
Mix it, bro. Mix it.
Mix it up. Mix it up.
Do real and do fake, but you got the reputation of.
I agree. Don't do real anymore. It'd save you getting arrested in Korea for sure.
Doing a lot of real
The problem
stuff.
is I never did anything like scripted yet.
That's a lie.
So doing that will fucking go
Yeah,
ridiculous. Because the YouTubers are gonna report on it. That's what's good. They're gonna look stupid. They're giving me the free publicity.
Yes, Johnny. Yes, Johnny. We're all gonna totally believe that you killed yourself or you're dead. That's something that totally all of us 100% are going to just buy immediately. We're all just going to be like, Johnny is dead.
Oh, yeah. We're that gullible, guys.
And we're all going to buy it, right? No.
Surely.
0 people will believe that at all ever. Although there was something funny that happened after this. I'll let the clip finish playing.
you just gotta exaggerate the story as much as you can. Like, yeah, you're hated by all the Koreans, and now you should fake that. Oh, you got beheaded by the Korean mob, and then everyone's gonna be happy and all this other shit. And then when they find out you're alive, they're gonna lose their shit. Like,
How can I fake my death?
Yeah. So that was a deleted video, but right after that, there was a pretty hilarious update to the Johnny Somali wiki, which somebody tried to run here. This was posted by Dr. Strangelove over here on X. You've got the Johnny Somali wiki here, born in Phoenix, and then somebody updated it to died 14th April 2025 in a Korean detention center in Seoul, South Korea. It's now been, by the way, this has been removed. But that said,
They tried to change history. I see.
obviously, while this is a little bit, while it is a giggle situation that somebody actually updated this, and then added in cause of death, decapitation. That, of course, is completely inaccurate and not true. And of course, he's not even in a Korean detention center. The only Korean detention center he's in is Hank's bedroom.
Okay, so then we got spy games.
78.
Oh,
these are going to be in the description, by the way.
U.S.
Okay, so let's start with the Discord drama. So essentially, in case you guys don't know, there is a Johnny Somali Discord, which by all reports is relatively dead and boring. I mean, there really isn't anything going on in it. The most exciting that Discord gets is when I stream, which is kind of crazy. It really is a nothing burger. Other than that, it's really boring. But that said, there was a shakeup over the last week. It happened a couple days ago, and in that, there was a mass deleting in the Discord. A lot of channels were deleted, people were booted, and you can see that this is a screenshot from inside the staff section of the Discord. So this is the staff chat. You can see that up here. This the actual staff chat. This was not the general chat. So this was at the higher level of permissions. And on this, you can see at this point, especially down here, let's zoom in here. So you can see Zen Mr. Owl, who says, what the hell is going on? Why is everything getting deleted? Right? And then asking Omar, who tagged himself as Illegal Mindset, which I find funny.
That is kind of funny, not gonna lie. Little hit on legal mindset.
Going on? Why delete the chats? And then Omar, Illegal Mindset, said, I'm a spy. Right? So allegedly this person went through, who was a quote unquote spy, and started deleting chats. And there were I have several different stories at first that they were going to create a new Discord and they were going to have all sorts of new rules and protocols and all sorts of stuff. But it turns out, nope, the same Discord's still there. The same people are still there. Everybody who's feeding me information is still there. So none of the people that are my quote unquote spies are booted out. All of my spies are all still there. But it was a kind of kerfuffle that happened during the week. And a lot of people were wondering, well, why is that, right? Is it because they're really hunting spies? And what I wanted to get to is no, it's actually probably not anything to do with that. And it's probably just some internal drama. You've got to remember, guys, that the average age of these people that are involved in this is very young. Discord is essentially, especially Johnny's Discord, is a bunch of kids, right? This is a.
I mean, you have to be at least 13 to be on Discord. So we're looking at maybe 13 to 15, maybe.
Bunch of children on Discord messing around. And even the adults, these people are not very smart. They are not very mature. And they just like to create drama for drama's sake because Johnny's not streaming. He's kind of gone dark. He's hiding out. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that the seriousness of the charges that I revealed that are pressed against him are getting out there to the Korean public, and it is bad. And Johnny is out of legal money. He is begging for legal funds. And this fight against these very serious charges is going to be really bad for him. He said things that are very, very, very controversial, especially with certain problems in Korea. And one that was picked up by one of the Korean channels, and this is a great channel that covers a lot of this and translates it into Korean, was his comments about the women in the police force. Johnny made a comment that he was going to SA, and I'm not going to say the word.
YouTube's very finicky on that word, which is why when I cover the MADEIN thing, I have to specify SA as well. So
it rhymes with grape, right? He
Yeah.
was going to SA Korean female police officers. That is a huge issue. If that was said in Korean, he would definitely get some extra heat for that one and possibly extra charges just for that statement of saying that he was going to assault female police officers. Remember, he made similar statements in Israel as well when he was talking to a female police officer. So that is
I am still surprised. He walked out of Israel either alive or with no injuries at all.
something that the Koreans picked up on. Once again, they said that statement specifically is a huge hot button issue. And mind you, as I revealed on my big bombshell stream, the prosecutor in the Eastern District is a woman, right? Many of the people working on this case, the police officers are women, right? He is making these sexist statements and these sexual threats in an environment which he should not be doing.
Yeah. I mean, when your own prosecutor are women, you probably don't want to do that.
Especially since the charges he's facing are sexual in nature. He was investigated by the Women and Juvenile Crimes Division. And let's go back to our trusty dusty PowerPoint, because of course you know I like it. But let's look at these charges that he's facing that right now the police are receiving additional evidence on. And Johnny is trying to, once again, this Discord is distracting us from these very serious charges that are being added to his case file. Deepfakes, those are sexual in nature. Those are some of which are directed at a woman. Some of them are directed at men. They're also sexual, but some of them are directed at women. That's a huge thing. Obstruction of business. Part of that obstruction of business at Lotte World, which is essentially the Korean Disney World. There were acts said. He knew he was going around children. He was excited about it. And then of course we have the CSH. I'm not gonna say it. You guys have eyes and you can read it off my PowerPoint. That is a very serious charge which he is being investigated for right now. And they are considering adding that to the docket. So it's really a distraction. And beyond that, there's been further evidence added in about his history with targeting children. And it is a really problematic history.
When you look at the world, what do you see?
I would say so, yeah. Okay. And international
I want to play
waters.
for you, Johnny, talking about escaping to international waters. Let's play this little clip here. This is hilarious. Once again, this is all new stuff. All of this tonight is new stuff.
And then the next stream, Incheon.
So Incheon, so you guys know, is the port that is west of Seoul. It's largely considered as part of the Seoul metropolitan area, but Incheon to Seoul will take you to, an hour or two to get there, even at the fastest speed. It's the place where General MacArthur and the Korean War landed. They did their famous landing in Incheon, which was a big W and kind of cut off a lot of the North Korean army and led to the press in the north, which was followed by the Chinese attack and then pressed back to the parallel and kind of the stalemate. But Incheon is also where the airport is as well. But there is a big port in Incheon. Some of the biggest tidal movements happen in Incheon and in that bay. So it is one of the biggest areas where the tide goes up and down by a massive amount. So much so that like ships can ground themselves if they don't know where they're properly navigating during low tide. It is a huge shift. So he's talking about going to Incheon, and let's hear what he has to say.
I'm going to Incheon. I'm renting a boat or an inflatable raft. And I'm going to stream sailing to international waters. As soon as I hit international water, you can't touch me.
That is not going to happen. Number one, he will not get anywhere near international waters. He wouldn't even make it close to international waters because of the outlying islands. He would go so far, and the closest he could get to international waters would be trying to go to North Korea, in which case North Korea, I would love for him to try that because they will shoot down and destroy any boat. They shoot down Chinese fishing vessels. They would 100% shoot him down. But in an
North Korea will not hesitate to shoot anything down.
inflatable raft or a small boat, he wouldn't even make it out of the bay, right? He wouldn't even make it out of the bay. It would be R.I.P. Ramsey real quick. If they'd even...
It would not go down that well. He'd go really quickly.
If they'd even try to rent it to him, right? So, I mean, once again, I would love to see him try. It would not work. This will not work. But, let's see him try. Let's see him try.
Good luck, I guess. Okay. And then we have this one. Okay,
now, the Korean media has been destroying him. We have
I mean, not really a high bar to be fair, but let's see what they've done this time to destroy him.
We have a translated interview, but there have been several mainstream. We're talking like if ABC or CNN or Fox or whatever in the US did a piece on Somali. This is big stuff. These are not small channels in Korea. These are big channels, mainstream media. They have been destroying him. They've been covering him, and they've been covering us. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they have been watching our channel and covering us as we get this information out there. And it has been absolutely glorious to see them getting good information from a good source. We're going to go to the Korean media stuff first. I want to show you this real quick. They understand the Korean strategy. The Korean strategy is to bleed him dry, to take his money and just make sure that he does not make a dime and that he is losing this money while he's there because he has to pay for everything and he's not getting any payments, or he has any revenue. He can't stream, he can't work. So they understand that. And in this broadcast, this is a broadcast that was by SBS Media, which has 4.8 million subscribers. Let me pull this up here for you guys. This is a very big news outlet in Korea. You can see it right here with the two broadcasters. And I'm going to play a little bit of this. It's in Korean, and then I'm going to read you the in Korea. You can see it right here with
it's SBS.
Two broadcasters. And I'm going to play a little bit of this. It's in Korean, and then I'm going to read you the translation of this. But just look at what source they're using here.
알렸는데요. 소말리가 지인과 주고받은 텔레그램 메시지를 공개했습니다. 해당 메시지에는 페이팔 기부 계정과 함께 후원 요청이 담겨 있습니다. 소말리의 지인은 변호사 비용이 부담스러워서 기부를 부탁한다고 밝혔는데요. 현재 출국 금지 상태인 소말리는 한국에서 일도 할 수 없다며
Yeah, the statue thing is started all the problems. And it's funny how it's not even the biggest issue anymore.
지인인 자신이 도와주지 않는다면 굶어 죽을 것이다라고 덧붙였습니다.
So they cover all this, and I'm not going to pull the whole thing, but I'll give you guys the little translation of that because we've got that here today. And that is over here. Let's pull this up. And let's big screen it because it's in small font, but I got the whole thing. So here's how it read. And I'll read this out for you guys. This is a final update for today. So they left this for the last story of the day on major news. The latest status of an American YouTuber who repeatedly mocked and humiliated Korea, including kissing the Statue of Peace, has been reported. The YouTuber known as Somali has had their recent activities and trial proceedings exposed by another YouTuber who has been tracking their case. The reporting YouTuber, that's me, released private Telegram messages exchanged between Somali and an associate, Hank, which included PayPal donation links and a request for financial support. So why did the media focus on that? Because Korea understands the strategy is to bleed him dry financially, and it's working. It is absolutely 100% working. He is desperate. He has no money. He's resorting to outlandish things in order to get money. So their strategy is working. Now, I know a lot of people disagree with the Korean approach. A lot of people want to see the Vitaly-like approach of the Philippines. But you can say, you're playing two different games. Some people are playing a long game. Some people are playing a short game. Korea is playing a long game the way they want to play the long game. They're playing their game their way, and it is working. Right? The Philippines did their thing with Vitaly. That did work in their way. They're different strategies, right? They're different approaches to things. But they see it. The media sees it, which says, and continuing there, so he needed a PayPal donation link and request for financial support. In the messages, Somali's associate, Hank, claimed that legal fees were becoming unmanageable and pleaded for donations, adding that Somali, currently under a travel ban, cannot work in Korea and would starve to death without their help. Last October, Somali was indicted for disrupting operations at a convenience store in Mapo in Seoul by blasting loud music and spilling cup noodle water on tables. Somali also sparked outrage by kissing the Statue of Peace and repeatedly hurling racial slurs and harassment at citizens. Note that word, harassment. Actions that led to physical altercations with other YouTubers. That's all for the report. Thank you for listening. So mainstream media is on it. They're covering it. And this is really bad for Somali, because this is the type of thing that the judge, his family, other people are seeing 100%. And that is not going to go well for him. In addition, Somali has openly threatened news channels.
We're opening threatening news channels now. Lovely.
And let me pull this up right here. This is a huge mistake to come after news channels and say they are going to attack news channels. So let's listen into Hank and Johnny talking about essentially what sounds like trespassing and harassing reporters.
The JBC News building is not even open. Who's the news that was talking about it?
JTBC.
So you want to go? You down to go to the headquarters?
Yes, and
live
and like demand an interview.
That's a good content live.
Actually demand an interview.
Should JTBC really?
Me and Hank go to the Korean news channel that has been talking the most about us, and we show up to their headquarters live and on YouTube, live on this channel and Hank's channel, and we tell these we want to interview now, and we're not leaving till you call the police. Now. And then the next stream in Xi'an, I'm going.
Okay, let's stop with. Okay, he says something crazy after this. So let me address the first part, right? Okay, so they're going to call the police.
Oh boy!
Like they're not going to wait to call the police. They're going to call the police pretty quickly when Somali shows up. They also have security, right? So like
whoa.
Main headquarters of a news building has security. It's not like they're not going to wait to call the police. They're going to call the police pretty quickly when Somali shows up. They also have security, right? So like they're
going to call them pretty quickly. If they say we're not leaving until you call the police, they'll be like, all right, time's over.
Headquarters of a news building has security. He's not just going to be able to walk up to the reporter's desk and start yelling at them. They're going to have security. Probably won't even be able to get off the ground floor and get up to their main office. They'll probably be stuck on the ground floor and not be able to get anywhere. So they can try that. That will not work out well for them. Let's put it that way. That will not work out well for them.
No.
By the way, there are multiple outlets that are covering this now. So they're talking about one specific outlet, I believe JTC, but I just showed you another outlet that was covering this as well. So there are multiple. And then there was a third as well that covered it. And this is one that my good friend, Dr. Ulrich, you guys are very familiar with Dr. Ulrich. He came over and forwarded me a video from, let's see, which one was that? From MBM Network, which trolled him as well for not having any money. So there's now two networks, major networks, that have said that he is broke as a joke, and they're pretty much making fun of it. They're like laughing at his demise because it is absolutely hilarious that he thought he could screw around and would have no consequences.
On a distant world.
Yeah, basically. So, and this one's kind of crazy though.
So Johnny Somali is threatening Korean women with
good idea. Keep threatening Korean women and see how that goes for you.
With infection with STDs, specifically with HIV and AIDS. This is something that people might think of as a joke. This is not a joke. And in fact, when in history, and I'm going to get into this, we'll show you some case law. Oh, there's case law about this, but there are there are cases that where people have been prosecuted, specifically in the United States. In fact, repeatedly, people have been prosecuted for threatened potential threats to infect others with diseases. And that is something that is not okay. In fact, there was a parole for a doctor. It was I believe it might have been a doctor who injected his mistress with HIV and hepatitis. She contracted those. He went to jail. She actually, I believe, eventually died of HIV/AIDS. So he went to jail. He was denied parole. So let's watch this thing. This is video of Ramsey Cletus Smile on April 22nd talking about this. Let's just play the tape.
Korea does not let me out of Korea. I'm telling you right now, it is a danger to the Korean women. I have had so much sex with Korean women while I've been locked here.
First of all,
I highly doubt that.
Let me say this real quick. I do not believe this at all. Number one, he doesn't have any money, although he does admit to using prostitution, and I do believe he did engage in prostitution in Southeast Asia and other places. But in Korea, he definitely doesn't have any money. Number one, and number two, ain't nobody interested in Ramsey Cletus Smile. So I'm calling
BS.
Calling a lie on that one. But let's continue to hear his threat, because once again, he is threatening Korea if they don't let him go.
I don't wear any condom when I f these Korean women. I don't get any STD tests when I f these Korean women. I don't get any STD tests when I fuck these Korean women. And I make sure to spread whatever I have to all of these Korean women. And the police can't stop me. The government can't stop me. These Korean ladies is fiending for black. Every single week they keep me in Korea. I'm going to keep coming in Korean women. I'm a handsome, sexy. I'm nice. I'm good looking. I haven't had since September.
Okay, do you guys want to know what happened when I went to the red light district with Hank? I'll tell y'all the story. The other day we went to the red light district, and the reason I didn't stream it is because every single hooker we met in the red light district was like, no black, no black, no black. I was getting mad that
these Korean ladies is fiending for black.
No black, no black, no black.
So obviously that's a cut by Johnny So Somali over there on X.
So inconsistent a little bit.
He's talking about that stuff, and then he's talking about injecting people intentionally with
that's a crime.
HIV and AIDS, and he specifically actually makes a threat against me. Right, so let's listen to this one. I posted this one on my X, so people can look at this one here. This is a very specific threat against me, of all people here. So let's listen up to this one.
Legal mindset. I don't need to fight that. I'll walk past and inject them with some HIV blood with a needle. Legal mindset.
See, that's a very specific threat against a very specific person. That's actually against me. So that is what you would call, and that's a threat, and that's what you call a pinprick attack, which is, you can Google it. There's actually Wikipedia pages about it. There's stuff like that about it. That is very much criminal to threat.
That is a literal crime to threaten to, inject people in general, but to inject a specific person is even more.
To talk about. And in many countries, there's actually specific statutes that relate to that legally, right? That specifically relate to that. So that actually gives me some interesting law to talk about. And so the rest of the PowerPoint here. So in countries like the United States and Western Europe, there are laws. Now, in many places, there was a specific statute, the specific law that says that threatening people with AIDS or passing AIDS is illegal. Now, back in the day, these laws were controversial because many people thought that they would be used against people that lived other alternative lifestyles, like, for example, homosexuals. So in the past, they thought that these laws would be used widely to essentially ban homosexuality, which largely, by and large, with isolated cases and individual, exceptions aside, by and large, generally that did not happen. But those laws are still on the books, laws that criminalize specifically the intentional transmission of HIV and AIDS. But beyond that, you can actually use existing laws. So laws like intimidation. So saying, I'm going to do this because you cover me, or I'm going to do this if you don't release me. That is intimidation. That's also an attempted crime. It can be assault. And if you actually do it, it can be attempted murder or murder. So if you killed somebody, they died of AIDS, that would actually be murder. And in Korea, there are some specific crimes. I want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Ulrich and also to the other folks that helped me out in Korea on this, because they helped me out with these specific articles. I think Dr. Ulrich gave me a lot of these, so big shout out to him. But I confirmed these and asked around and looked them all up, so they all check out. But in Korea, if you actually went over and threatened people with HIV, you could be guilty of any of these things: injury, attempted injury, serious injury, special threat.
So it's a long list. So this is probably not going to be a good idea, and this might actually get worse for him in terms of legal sense.
Attempted crime, murder. Also, Korea has a special statute, a special law called the Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, that's AIDS, Prevention Act. Article 19, prohibition on conduct risking transmission. What does that carry? I know you all want to know, and that is 10 years in jail. So 10 years. 10 years.
Okay, so with that 10 years, we're looking at, okay, if this actually passes, he's already at 5 years for that one district, 10 years for the Lotel world, plus this, that's 25 years in prison. At first we were looking at 15. If this passes, we're looking at 25.
Under that statute for any conduct that would involve that. So that would be stacking on top of his already full stack of issues, 10 years in potential years in prison. That's a maximum penalty there, right? So a lot of solid time there as well. And once again, this is all stuff Johnny tried to delete because Johnny knew when he played that is a direct threat. That is a direct threat, not just the Korean people. He threatened me specifically, but this is very, very insane, right? And once again, he still has a criminal case pending.
Yeah, that's very insane. Okay, we're gonna react to this. Hopefully, YouTube, please don't hit me, but we're gonna risk it anyway. Okay.
Yo, what country we doing? Chat, what country we doing? What country we doing? What country, Hank? What you have to do is remember, see this image with that picture with that eye right there? Yeah. When we confirm it's not a dick, we click that. But until we confirm, you know what I mean?
Yo, what's up?
Let's start talking. Hello, what's up, lady? How are you?
Where are you from?
Where are we from? Where are you from?
China.
Oh, you see the flag we got right there? We have China flag right there. You see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're Americans, but yeah. We love China.
can you speak Chinese?
He can't. Speak there. Let me put the guy by you. Speak Chinese a little bit.
中国万岁！操日本，操韩国，操美国。我们的队伍，我们的队伍像太阳，脚踏着祖国的大地。
Okay, that's enough. I had enough of that. All right, that's the yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is where's the there it is. This is after he said that thing. But okay, that's all right. that said, that's the video. I mean, the stream for this week. Unless something happens with MADEIN, which I also cover, which if you know about MADEIN, the K-pop group, and the CEO and stuff. Unless something happens with that, then I will see you Monday on the next video. Until then, I will see y'all later.
Welcome to the Blizzard Arena.
And the quest for a champion begins today.
The anticipation has been building, and it is finally time. We are live.
Are you
That is a really. Can you get over the roof there? Oh my!
Oh my! What a play! What a grab!
Another jump here on the high ground. Super goes forward, but gets stuck up. The EMP comes in, and ding! He rains down hell from above. Here comes Pine. Gets one, gets two. Looking for a bit more, gets another one.
Juno's down again. That heralds disaster generally for the Fusion, and Carpe wasn't far behind. Prophet! He's killed 4 players now on his own.
From Vancouver, locks him in the sound barrier. Sound the bomb coming in from Jono. Oh my God! He does it again.
Flutter now moving onto the Widowmaker, taking the clutch into his own hands. The headshot and the headshot and the headshot.
Okay, I like this for the Gladiators. We're gonna try and circle around. I'm gonna call this the merry-go-round because it makes me laugh. Makes me happy. And Sean Paul switches to the Widowmaker at just the right time. Oh, the Raven!
I'm the best choice in the world.
Oh my word!
I mean, you could have told me
that you spoke English, honestly.
The fans never thought they'd see this day. It took 43 matches. Feels like a really emotional moment here.
Sorry.
All right, I will see y'all next week unless something else happens. Bye bye.